Hey, what's going on, everyone? Happy Wednesday. I hope you guys are doing well and you're having a great start to your day. I want to jump into this topic, but I'm kind of not sure if this is going to be the entire talk, but we'll talk about God's sovereignty just to start off and how, amazed and in awe I am every time God just shows out. And he doesn't have to show out in a major way with, a windfall, a financial windfall, or, a major breakthrough that people would be like, oh my goodness, wow, like God is at work here. And he does do that. So I don't want to get people confused about that. But where I'm in awe is his communication to me. And for those who are Christian and who are just, maybe given their lives to Christ just recently and are just starting this journey with him, you can attest to this for sure because of the immediate changes that happens in your life once you decide to walk with Christ. And so for me, I made that decision in 2019, and it's been an interesting journey. And I can smile today only because of, the ability to sit back and reflect on those times, good and bad, where ultimately I know where God is taking me. So one of the cool things I like about God's sovereignty is that he doesn't tell you everything right away. And I love this because it makes the walk exciting, at least for me. If you're a thrill seeker, you'll definitely love this stuff. But there will be moments where you hit a situation or you hit a circumstance and you're not, completely understanding why you're in this position or why you're in this season, only until after you come out of that season or after God gives you or reveals to you the purpose of your journey in that segment. And so I was talking to my mom at one point and I said to her, I'm always in awe of God's sovereignty and how, he's the one who created us. We are his children, and he knows every single hair on our head. He knows every single thought that we have and what we're going to do before we even do it. And even in that, still giving us the ability to have free will. And I know there's some free willers out here that are just like, yes, free will, free will. And that's fine to have free will. But if you really understand God's sovereignty and how he moves and how he just, moves the chess pieces on the board, if you will, when you have a time to reflect on a decision that you independently made versus what God has revealed to you, you would be in awe. And so I know for me, just something recently was bothering me, and I allowed, as any human being would, my emotions to get the best of me. And there's no shame in my game. I'm very transparent with the things that I go through, and I don't come on these platforms to, gloss up everything. So I really had a salty attitude about something, and I'm saying salty for me because I'm judging myself. And one of the things that I realized after, coming down to a neutral zone, so to speak, I started to have this dialogue with God and, trying to understand, why is this happening to me? Or why do I keep going through these particular circumstances? Is there something that I'm doing that, I'm not obedient to? Or is there something that you're trying to show me? And what I realized in that conversation and in reflection, God had revealed something to me last year. And instead of me just going with what God had revealed to me, I held on to it. But again, as we are, imperfect human beings, we tend to either forget or we tend to take matters into our own hands. And so I felt like this was a circumstance where it was like, okay, God revealed this to me and he prepared me for this. But for whatever reason, I allowed this to come back around. Now, the sovereignty in all of that is that God will test us at times to make sure that we've learned the lesson before we can level up. And I felt like what happened to me yesterday was a good and clear indication of that. That maybe at this point, am I ready to level up? Did I pass the test? Only God can reveal that to me. And because it's so fresh, I will have to maybe update you at some point. But what I'm going through isn't really necessarily the point of why I'm sharing this. The point of why I'm sharing this is through this experience, you can understand how God positions us in a place and in a space for us to level up and move forward and hit that milestone, whatever that milestone would be. People talk about breakthroughs all the time, and I'm going through this hard time, and I know my breakthrough's around the corner. And I think that people greatly underestimate what a breakthrough is, because a breakthrough doesn't have anything to do with a financial windfall or, material things coming to us. A breakthrough can come through us leveling up spiritually. And so with that, I found that this particular circumstance that I went through just recently is what is allowing me to level up spiritually. So because it was a situation involving a handful of people, what I got out of that lesson, and this just happened not too long ago. This is less than 24 hours ago. What I got out of that while speaking with God, not only last night, but also this morning, is that He wants me to get to a place where not only do I not allow people to affect me in a certain way, but also when they do affect me in a certain way, that instead of being angry about it, maybe I should turn around and pray for them. And so that's, exactly what I'm doing, is that I am praying for this particular person who really just rattled my cage yesterday. And with that, I don't want to hold any negative feelings, any negative vibes, anything that would destroy my progression spiritually. And so this is where I say God is sovereign, because if you don't get it then, He'll find a way for you to get it now. And I absolutely got the message, and I continue to pray that God continues to remind me of what I need to do until I get to a point where I know this is automatic. I've passed this test. I've learned this lesson, and now on to the next lesson. So what I want you guys to take away from this, especially if you're a Christian, is that first, understand you are a human being and you're not perfect. Understand God's sovereignty. Start communicating with God about how He puts things in place. What are we supposed to learn? Because one of the downfalls, and I just might, ruffle a few feathers here, is that in the midst of calling ourselves Christians, we tend to have this slight tinge of I'm better, just a notch better than you. And so it's easy to say to someone that they need to do this and they need to do that and they need to look at things this way. But before you open your mouth to speak, be certain to check yourself first and be the one to say, do I actually practice what I'm about to tell someone? Have that conversation with yourself first. Because if this is not what you do, you are in no position to tell anybody what they should be doing, because now you're acting God-like. And it says it in the Bible, there is no other God before Him. So with that said, I hope you guys got something out of this conversation and this discussion. Again, I'm always amazed by what God does and what God reveals to me, and then allows me to share with you. And I hope that that inspires you and gives you a moment to reflect on your life, your journey, and how you communicate with God. I'm always going to say I'm not a perfect being, but when God ministers to me and then gives me that urging to share it with you. I hope that you just receive the message and not the person who is sharing the message. Does that make sense? I hope so. You guys have an awesome day. Until next time, take care. Peace.